house into a home. Your home. Call 334-7317.
Rain and patchy fog today, high of 63. Winds from the southwest up to 30 miles per hour, 100% chance of 3/4 to 1 inch of rain possible today. Tonight, showers and possibly a thunderstorm tapering off over the nighttime hours, low of 44. Sunday's weather, just the tiniest chance of a shower in the afternoon, increasing clouds all day with a high of 56. Monday, sunshine and 72. Tuesday, mostly sunny and 74. Wednesday, mostly sunny and 76. Thursday, sunshine and 66. And on Friday, a 50-50 chance of showers, mostly cloudy and 65 degrees.
And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 58.5. A deluge of a downpour going on right now outside the AM Woonsocket Studios, 1240 AM, 99.5 FM, WoonsocketRadio.com. And good morning. Welcome to the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin. We got a big show and lots to cover this morning. In the second half of the show, we're expected to be joined by Attleboro Sun Chronicles New England Patriots beat writer Tyler Heaton to break down days 1 and 2 of the NFL draft and to preview the upcoming rounds 3 through 7, which will be happening today. But first, let's start like we always do. Pat, good morning. And where in the world is Pat Holland today? You've taken the cheap seats on the road.
I was a little busy this week. I am in Woonsocket this morning.
Oh, with me, great.
Yeah, we had a busy week, good week. A lot of sports, a little arts.
Little keep the wife happy arts.
Keep the wife happy in Boston last night. But
keep yourself happy with some Celtics and some
That's right. Celtics,
Red Sox.
Red Sox.
Mixed bag there. Celtics won, Sox lost, right? In your games that you went to?
Yes.
Okay, but you had a beautiful hot day. It seemed like everybody was at the Red Sox game that Thursday.
It was. I was packed.
Yeah.
And I was. I like to, give a little jab at the visiting fans. I said this is probably the most people you've seen in the stands in a while for a baseball game. Seattle.
I was at a game in Milwaukee one time. And people were complaining about the ticket prices as we were sitting behind home plate, and the ticket prices at the time were $35. And they were, "Oh, this is ridiculous." I'm like, "Do you know how at Fenway $35 at the time you could still get into Fenway for $35, but it would still have you way out in deep right field with a pole in front of you." I said, exactly. You might want to enjoy yourself here."
And facing the wall.
Oh, facing the wall, get a crick in your neck, and so. All right, so today we're going to touch a bit on the Red Sox as well. In the first part, we want to talk about the Bruins. They had an interesting press conference this week. Pat and I, we did a playoff hockey bracket that we didn't get to this week, so we'd like to touch on that. Celtics, they didn't play well. They got maybe a little mismanagement by the referees last night. They dropped a tough one to Orlando, but they still lead the series 2-1. But as always, let's go around Rhode Island and New England. Let's get you caught up. George Mason wins on a walk-off over URI in baseball yesterday afternoon by a score of 5-4, ending URI's modest winning streak at 5. With the loss, URI drops into a tie with George Mason. Both teams have 13-6 conference records and are a half game behind 14-6 St. Joe's. Weather permitting, both teams go at it again this afternoon. It's in Virginia, so maybe it's not raining down there. 1 o'clock, and the series will finish up tomorrow at noon. Both games can be seen on ESPN+.
Yeah, and the Bryant Bulldogs have won their last 9 out of 10, including yesterday's 7-4 win over Albany. They will continue their 3-game series today and tomorrow with games at 1. Currently, the Bulldogs are 8-5 in conference, 2 games behind first place UMaine, with 4 games in hand.
And down at Brown, we're covering the teams that are currently well over 500. So over at Brown, the softball team currently sits in a tie for 4th in the Ivy League. First place Princeton is 13-3. Harvard and Dartmouth are tied for 2nd at 10-6. Brown and Columbia are tied for 4th at 9-6. They win today and tomorrow. The Bears take on must-wins today and tomorrow. As the Bears take on the 7-11 Yale Bulldogs.
Forward Vinny Lettieri netted the game's lone goal a minute 14 into overtime, while goaltender Micah DiPietro stopped all 24 shots he faced to help the Providence Bruins to a 1-0 overtime victory over the Springfield Thunderbirds in Game 2 of the best-of-3 first-round series last night at the Mass Mutual Center. Michael Callahan and Riley Tufte recorded assists on the winning goal. Providence evened the series at 1 game apiece. This was Providence's first ever 1-0 overtime playoff victory. The P Bruins host the Springfield Thunderbirds for Game 3 of the best of 3 first-round Calder Cup playoffs. Tomorrow at the AMP, puck drop is set for 3:05 p.m.
And interestingly enough, because I don't know if we'll have much time to get to it, might come up again, but Fabian Lysell, hot prospect for the Providence, for the Boston Bruins, actually got called up at the end of the year. May have got an assist or two. I can't remember right now.
He scored his first goal. He might have had an assist or two. I think he might have played in the last maybe 10, 15 games, if that.
Boston sent a bunch of guys down, as you would expect, to Providence. He's skating on the fourth line.
Yeah, I saw that slotted in the fourth line, right winger.
Yeah, and I'm just confused. It's I guess he's just playing not as good as the first 3 line guys, but I mean, this is one of your top prospects.
Yeah, you get called up, and maybe, over that course, Providence was playing well. Maybe they created some sort of synergy and chemistry together. The top 6, and they said, hey, let's just maybe add depth to our bottom 6 and slot him in. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't slot him in on as a fourth line player because he's not very physical. But
I mean, if they send down David Pasternak, you're not putting him on the fourth line.
Yeah,
You're risking disrupting the chemistry on the Providence.
You're not going to send Lowry down there because you don't want him to end up with another minus 15 goals in the playoffs.
It's unbelievable. You brought attention to it before the show. I had heard about it. Minus 43.
Minus 43.
That is unbelievable. I've never seen a minus 43 for a regular, for any player, never mind a regular player. So, anyway, okay, the Worcester Red Sox just had their 6-game winning streak stopped last night at home versus Rochester by a score of 8-3, weather permitting. They're home today at 4:05, and tomorrow at 1:05 versus Rochester. They actually stay home. Weirdly, they usually do a week at home, then a week on the road. They're actually going to stay home, so Toledo comes in for a 6-game series beginning Tuesday. We've been trying to keep you updated all year. Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony, and it was Pat last week that mentioned that Marcelo Meyer had a 7 RBI game the night before we did our show last week with a grand slam and some other hits. Well, his average is now up to 267 with a 312 on base percentage. Last Saturday it was around 202 with a 230 something. It's he currently now he had the 7 RBI game. He currently now has 6 home runs, 28 RBIs in 24 games. In essence, he is starting last Friday. He has raised his average about 70 points over the last 8 to 9 days. He has 6 consecutive multi-hit games with Worcester. Roman Anthony, who has been limited to DH status due to a shoulder issue, rejoined the outfield, played center field last night, also has had a good week. He's now hitting .313. He's got a .451 on base percentage. He's worked 21 walks so far this year. Again, they've only played 24 games. He has 5 home runs and 14 RBIs. So good to see Meyer and Anthony, the two highly touted prospects, really starting to raise their game.
And I believe last week, I haven't looked this week, but last week I checked out, and Vaughn Grissom is actually he's putting up some huge numbers.
He was hitting 295, and if I can, I'll look that up a little bit later as well. But he was hitting 295 with like a 360 on base percentage.
Yeah,
and he's known for his glove work too. I believe he's a good second baseman defensively.
That was his.
So interesting that they got those going on, and they're starting to win. Down in Worcester as well. Again, 6-game winning streak was just snapped. So yeah, get out to Polo Park. Well, maybe not today, weather permitting, but if today gets rained out, my guess is tomorrow will be a double header.
Yeah. And then tomorrow, Rhode Island Football Club gets back into action. They're playing in the opening of the inaugural Jägermeister Cup.
That's what it is.
So they are heading down to New York, or out to New York. West. Heading west to New York, Mount Vernon, New York. They're going to take on the Westchester Soccer Club at 2 o'clock. And then next Saturday, again, the christening of the new Centerville Bank Stadium. They'll host San Antonio FC at 4 o'clock. And I believe we'll be on hand.
We might be on hand.
I'll be on hand.
I'll
definitely
see what I can do about getting there. may have to carpool. Still not sure. I haven't been
We'll
by
figure
there
it out.
yet.
We'll figure it out. But.
It's some exciting news coming out of the new stadium in Pawtucket, Centerville Bank Stadium. Now, obviously, RIFC will play there. We mentioned a few weeks ago, women's professional rugby team playing out of Boston, I believe.
Yep, the Banshees.
They'll be playing their final 3 games of the season there as well. But just announced Major League Rugby, which is the premier rugby league in North America, just named Centerville Bank Stadium as the host for this year's championship Saturday, June 28th at 2 o'clock. Featuring the champions from the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference champions. The teams play a 16-game season. Top 4 from each conference make the playoffs, so a total of 8 make the playoffs. The defending, in case you didn't know this, the 2-time defending champions are the New England Free Jacks out of Quincy, Mass. They beat the Seattle Seawolves, not to be confused with the Seahawks, the Seawolves 20-11 last year in front of a record-setting crowd of 12,085 people in San Diego. And I bring that up because of the new RIFC stadium seating 10,500. I was wondering how, will they be able to sell it out? And based on last year's numbers out in San Diego, they might be able to sell that out. And the exciting part for the Centerville, we've had, David Pert on from RIFC. That game will be on ESPN2, basically giving RIFC, David Pert, and all his crew a chance to showcase the stadium to a national audience. In general, rugby features 11 teams. The Free Jacks play out of Quincy, Mass. They currently sit in first place. So, Pat, we were talking, briefly before the show when they were building RIFC. I didn't know how they were going to fill it with 50 less dates than the Paw Sox had at McCoy.
Right.
And it seems like, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, it seems like they're starting to fill it up with some of these quote unquote niche sports.
Sure.
Rugby, women's rugby. We talked about high school championships. It's they got a long way to go, but I think this is kind of fascinating how they're starting to fill up the stadium with some of these dates.
Yeah, and that's, I think, and David had mentioned, some other things like concerts and, movie nights and some other stuff.
That's right. They got a movie night coming
like
up.
some sort of. I think they'll. I don't think they're looking to have it available 365 days a year,
Right.
but obviously they want to be able to use it and have it more readily available than just 25 dates for soccer. I'm sure that, like we said, I'm sure at some point they'll work with the RIIL to get maybe the soccer championships there and move those from, I think they're at Cranston now, move them over just to get for local kids to be able to play a championship game on a professional stadium.
I think it was Eric Rube for the Providence Journal wrote about the football championship and what are some other options for them besides Cranston Stadium, which has been the home for them for many years. But they're starting to get the stadium's starting to be dated now. Right. And he brought up Bryant, but the people from the south don't want to go
up
north.
Yeah.
And they thought about URI, and for the same reasons, people don't want to south.
Brown,
Pawtucket is
Brown.
Brown, but I think the Interscholastic League, I think the kids would be thrilled to come up from Westerly to play.
That's a good. We'll have to ask David or even Thomas, who's their VP of communications, to see if can they play a football game there. I'm assuming that if you put a brand new stadium with turf, they must have the ability to put in pull. I mean, they can paint, right? Because that just
that's easy
off.
enough, right?
But
I think David mentioned, he may have said the word football once. He wasn't talking about soccer, so that tells me that they got the holes that they can put the field goal posts in. They must have storage for it or able to bring them in somewhere. So, but Interscholastic League soccer,
I'm
lacrosse.
excited. Actually, they have it is raining out, but if you have nothing to do, they do have a soft opening today, and I believe you can go online and get tickets to that. They are free. I have 4 of them. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it over there, but they're free. They're kind of just opening the gates. They're gonna have like face painting and stuff like that. Stuff like that. They probably have the concession stands open. I know they're gonna have some food trucks and stuff like that. But it's a way to get in and see the stadium.
They actually have some like youth soccer tournaments going on, don't they?
Yeah,
like 5-on-5.
I think they were doing like 5v5 or for the youth teams, and they extended that out probably because the stadium wasn't quite ready yet when they originally had it scheduled, and so they pushed it out a little bit. So so if you have nothing going on today and in the rain, maybe it breaks up a little bit. you can get. I'm sure you can get those tickets online. They're free. Go to RIFC, or I think it's Rhode and you can get those tickets online. Again, free. And then if you're a Rhode Island native, I know Centreville Bank is offering tickets to the games this season for $4.01.
Yeah, for the 401 area.
Yeah, so that's always a good take, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see the stadium. So.
Yeah, I think there is excitement. Just reading some of the comments online, there's a lot less comments of "this will never work," which permeated the social media sites. To I'm excited for this happening.
Yeah.
And I do think it has turned now. The reluctant acceptance that the Paw Sox are gone,
and it's even great because. Not only do they have the opening of the stadium May 3rd, but then you turn around on May 7th, and you have the New England Revolution coming down 95 to play them in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
That's wild.
At Centreville Bank Stadium. So it's a great time, and I'm sure David is ecstatic that this has happened because it's huge for them.
Yeah, I talk about another sellout just waiting to happen that wasn't on their schedule initially. So, okay, we're gonna take a quick break here. When we come back, I want to get Pat's take on that Bruins press conference that we mentioned, and something else that was brought up about the Bruins. We'll talk about when we come back. So you are in the cheap seats with Pat and Kevin here on 1240 AM, 99.5 FM, and WoodSocketRadio.com. We'll be back right after this.
ON 1240.
The latest Buick and GMC models are available at Tasca Buick GMC in Woonsocket. Buick Encore, Envision, Enclave, and Invista are on the lot waiting for you to take one for a test drive. New GMC crossovers, SUVs, as well as trucks and vans are also available. Thinking of a pre-owned vehicle? Tasca Buick GMC has more than 900 in stock, many under $15,000. Visit online, TascaBuickGMC.com, or stop into 55 Fortin Drive, Woonsocket. Tasca Buick GMC, you will be satisfied. And remember, there are no tariffs on the vehicles in stock at Tasca Buick GMC. Since 1948, their motto has been to give every customer the very best in quality service as well as attention to detail. And that promise continues today at Michaud's Auto Body, a modern 5-stall facility with the latest in technology. Michaud's Auto Body knows that following an accident, you need reassurance about the entire process, including reports, insurance, rentals, and more. Their promise is to give each person all that they are paying for, and then some. Michaud's Auto Body on Privilege Street, Woonsocket, 769-1983.
The world-class distributor of all things electrical is Electrical Wholesalers. They are a full-service electrical distributor with branches throughout Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. Locally, they're at 113 Clinton Street next to KFC here in Woonsocket, with other locations in Cranston and Franklin, Massachusetts. Electrical Wholesalers provides the highest quality service to electrical contractors as well as residential, commercial, and industrial customers. Electrical Wholesalers is open Monday through Friday, 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Visit ew-ne.com. Electrical Wholesalers.
When disaster strikes, trust the experts at Service Master by Gilmore. From water and fire restoration to mold remediation and emergency cleanup, we've been restoring peace of mind for over 40 years, now proudly serving all areas, including our newest service location in Rhode Island. No job is too big or too small. Day or night, we're here for you. Call Service Master by Gilmore at 1-800-783-0552 or visit us at the web at www.svmgilmore.com. Restoration done right every time.
WOON Woonsocket Radio, ON, AM, and FM.
And welcome back to the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin and your buttons. There we go. And Pat and Kevin now. And I believe we have a caller on the line. Let's go to the phone lines. And who's going to be the first one? Hello, you are on the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin.
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, Moose. What's going on?
How are you, buddy?
Not much. Just actually wanted to discuss what you had just mentioned just a few seconds ago before the break.
Rhode Island FC?
No. Yeah, right. Let's go into detail on that. No, on that incredible little Bruins conference that happened the other day.
That was a joy, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness gracious! Talk about being under the hot seat.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, they had, and I was infuriated listening to this conference because Neely and Sweeney didn't know what to say because there's not much to say about what a terrible season that you had, except for making a whole bunch of excuses. But what really irked me was when Sweeney started throwing figures out about percentages that are paid to the players, percentages that are paid to the general manager, to the entire
the parking lot attendant.
Everything. And then he's got the audacity that he's going to raise prices.
4%.
With the product that he put out last year, and he's got the nerve, and I think that was just pathetic. It's going to raise prices to fans, which is so unfair after what you produced in the past season. So,
12-game losing streak.
It's called sacrifice, boys. I don't know. Sacrifice. Don't raise the prices. Oh, my goodness. Find a few percentages here and there to come down and sustain what you have there without any increases at all.
Yeah, increase a bottle of water from $8 to $12.
Yeah. I mean, it's an insult, Kevin. It's an insult.
It is.
Fans. I was just really appalled by it.
They were taken aback, Moose. Kevin Ball DuPont of the Boston Globe really went at him. He's been writing for the Bruins for well over 40 years. He asked Jacob straight up, why don't you treat your general managers like you do the coaches, with Sweeney and Neely sitting right there, and you get rid of Cassidy, goes and wins a cup. You get rid of Montgomery. He guides the Blues to the playoffs. How come you don't treat the general managers like you do your coaches? And they're right there. It was a very uncomfortable press conference.
Very uncomfortable.
It didn't make you feel good. That's for sure.
That's the way to put it. Yeah, very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
they had to, Kevin. They had to expect something like that, but obviously they weren't prepared.
No, they didn't take any accountability, though.
No,
that's the issue I had, is that they just sat up there like...
They were making excuses. I said, what is all this gibberish they're talking about?
Right.
And instead of saying, listen, we're going to try harder, and we got some draft picks coming up, we got this, and then he starts throwing out the numbers and the figures, which really started to bother me. I said, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and that's the stuff
that
nobody cares.
We're going to increase the prices this year. My jaw dropped.
Yeah.
So hey Moose, something else that we threw in our notes as well. When you think about between the Boston stations, they got Joe Mazzulla goes on one of them, Alex Cora goes on another one, Belichick was always on. I'm sure Vrabel will be on as well. Gerard Mayo was on. Here in Rhode Island, you got the PC guy. He's got a show. URI guy's got a show. I mean, heck, the athletic director, the assistant athletic director for Bryant said we might have some access to the coach. Everybody's got access to a team except for the Boston Bruins. There's no one from the Bruins that's going on the airways to. I didn't hear Joe Sacco once. I didn't hear Neely. I didn't hear Sweeney once.
Was Sacco even there?
Yeah.
No kidding, right? So they're unaccounted for. They don't answer to anybody during the season, and now I don't think it's going to affect ticket sales. The Bruins fans are the most loyal in the region. They're not going anywhere. They've sold out like 10 consecutive years now, through good and bad. So I do think they are taking advantage of that situation with their 13% ticket increase over the last 3 years.
Here's the other fact that they know is that if they do lose season ticket holders, they can sell those tickets because you could see it this year.
Right.
I mean, you would watch the games and there'd be a third of the fans would be from the other team.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, the years of success that they have, you still got a waiting line for tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Bruins fans are loyal.
So they'll just fall on that. They'll fall back on that. Say, hey, we don't like what you're putting out on the ice. And we're not going to be season tickets in the holders. Okay, cross that guy off the list. Who's next?
Who's next? Now,
I do think Neely did. I mean, he did say one thing that I everyone wants to go to that 2015 draft, and I agree. I do agree that it was a terrible draft.
That's where they
I
had
don't
3 picks
blame
in a row.
I don't blame Don Sweeney for that
No, he did walk in
because he
in a
did
bad-
come in like he, and I've said that all along, even to my buddies who are like they go to it. And I go, Don Sweeney got hired in May that year. Like the draft was like 4 weeks later.
Right.
He's not
Exactly.
making those picks. Those picks were already, at least the scouting was already done on the guys that they were looking at.
correct.
The fact that Neely would stand up there and say, well, we were trying to move up to get the Hannafin kid. That deal fell through. We really should have probably, instead of staying up behind the curtain, gone back to the
Should've,
table and
could've.
gone,
There it is.
really
It's
thought about
another
things.
excuse.
It's like, what do you...
Yeah.
What do you mean? We probably in hindsight, it's like, you think? Like,
Yeah,
I don't.
right.
I mean, listen.
It's so
Yeah.
transparent.
We all know the other radio station up in Boston. They do the NFL draft board. They throw the stuff and it hits.
Yeah.
They hit on guys by throwing something at a board.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Thugger and Matt.
I mean, you have 3 picks in the first round. You should at least hit on one of them.
Hey, Moose, we do have a call on the other line.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna let you go. I just wanted to
No.
Thanks,
chime
Bruce.
in on the Bruins stuff, and I'm still shocked what they did.
Yeah.
no, it's
Not a good look, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
great. All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Moose. Okay, the mighty Moose on the phone lines with us there, and we're gonna go. I'm not sure if that's our guest, so why don't we take a break? We'll go to commercial. When we come back on the cheap seats, we may be joined by Tyler Heatu from the Sun Chronicle, and we'll be back here in the cheap seats on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM, OneSocketRadio.com.
ON 1240.
At North Smithfield Urgent Care and Lincoln Urgent Care, you'll always be seen by a board-certified physician who'll diagnose your minor illness or injury. Their services include treatment for flu, fractures, rashes, ITU infections, and work-related injuries, plus physicals, vaccinations, and drug screening. North Smithfield Urgent Care, Great Road, North Smithfield, and Lincoln Urgent Care, Wake Robin Road, Lincoln. X-ray and lab on premises.
They can diagnose and repair just about anything at State Line Service. From tires and alignments and front-end work on all makes of cars and trucks up to 1 ton to smaller items like brakes, starters, struts, exhausts, radiators, timing belts, and high-speed balance. State Line Service is a third-generation family-owned business, up to date with the latest technology. They believe in clear, honest communication with their clients. No double talk, no pressure. State Line Service, 1209 Social Street, Woonsocket, at the State Line. State Line Service.
When you install a garage door, don't forget the safety factor. Woonsocket Door Sales suggests you visit their website at woonsocketdoorsales.com and read about all the new technology available to make your garage and your home safe. In addition to your vehicles, your garage may store valuable tools and equipment. It may also have access to your home. Their website also features a variety of designs and comments about satisfied customers. Woonsocket Door Sales in Cumberland, 767-3448. They install, repair, and service all types of garage doors for commercial and residential.
Don't look now, but spring is right around the corner. Get out those golf clubs and head over to Lewis Quistit Golf Club, located right in the city of North Providence. Lewis Quistit offers a stunning 9-hole course designed by U.S. Open champion Ken Venturi. Whether you're looking for a fun, challenging round of golf or just a relaxing day surrounded by rolling hills, oak trees, natural wetlands, this is the perfect spot. With tee times available 7 days a week, fantastic court conditions, and a welcoming atmosphere both for members and the public, Lewis Quistit is a place to be. And after you're around, don't miss out on great food and drinks at the Pub on One, complete with a scenic golf course view. Contact Lewis Quistit Golf Club at www.lewisquisitgc.com or by calling 401-353-1620.
And welcome back to the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin.
Yours.
We are joined on the phone line by Tyler Heatu. Let's go to the
Your
line.
mic's not on.
And Tyler, are you there?
Your mic.
Hello, Tyler. Oh, sorry. Tyler, you there? Hold on, we're having problems here.
Your mic's not on.
Oh, sorry. Tyler, are you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing, guys?
There we go. Sorry about my technical difficulties on my end. And
no worries.
Hold on one second.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, we're good. All right. So, Tyler, you've been busy these last couple of days?
Yeah, the spring high school sports season has been nonstop, and you know, you factor in local soccer and then local football, especially with the draft going on. It's been pretty much nonstop for us.
Yes. Have the Patriots been busy the last day or so?
Yeah, I mean, picking number 4, and then they have 2 picks in the third and a pick in the second. It's been a good day, or good last couple of days for them. I think they went out and addressed some very important needs, and I mean, they're a significantly better team than where they sat on Thursday. Significantly better.
So Tyler, before I get into my first question, my little observation is, in New England especially, you got a region that can't buy into a college football game all year long, and then around the draft season, we're all experts now on who they should pick.
Yes, everybody thinks they know something someone else doesn't. You know, it's that's not uncommon for people in this industry. People at the bar, people at the auto shop. You name it. Everybody thinks they know something.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that think going offensive tackle with Will Campbell was the bad play. I think it's the best possible play you could have possibly done. They got the best player on the board. They got the most important position filled up, especially with the 4th pick. And, people are going to be unhappy. Will Campbell's most likely going to allow a sack in his first game.
Of course he is.
And people are going to say, I told you so. But also, it's going to look so much better than it did the last 2 years, and I don't think people really understand that just yet.
With the Will Campbell pick, I mean, I had some friends over Thursday night to catch the draft, and I tried to boil it down to one question. I said, what is the Patriots' biggest need based on what you saw last year? And they all said offensive line, left guard. I said, then the pick is obvious. If Will Campbell's there, and everyone, by all accounts, he was going to be, then you have to go after him. So you agree? You think they made the right decision there?
I had asked around in the hours leading up to the draft, and from what I got from a lot of people was the 3 was going to be Ward, Hunter, Carter, and then it was going to be best available player at 4 for the Patriots, and pretty much everybody said Will Campbell. A couple of people had mentioned, they trade back, maybe they get Armand Membo, who ended up going to the Jets, who's another very good offensive lineman, who's a little undersized in comparison to Campbell. But, I mean, Vrabel said it at the end of the day. Nobody came calling for the pick. It made it very simple for him to just go out and get their guy. And, we saw it last year. Drake May got pummeled. And he was running for his life. And, short arms be damned. Who cares? That
was my next question, how you felt about short arms.
Matt Light had 33-inch arms, probably a quarter of an inch bigger than Campbell's, and Matt Light turned out just fine.
That quarter of an inch, they say, makes a difference.
I don't.
On a 6'6" guy.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Right. Yeah. It's. I don't quite buy into that. I mean, to me, I thought maybe, and I don't disagree with you. Obviously, if there's no one calling for the pick, right, then it is what it is. You take the best player that fills the need that you need, right? If they could have traded down, now, if they traded back there was rumors that Chicago might trade up. And so they could maybe trade down to 10. Do you think the Jets take Campbell, or do you think they stick with the guy that they went with?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it would have really came down to those 2 offensive tackles, which was Membo to the Jets and Campbell. I would have been fine with Membo. I'm very happy with Campbell. I had a feeling it was going to be Campbell the entire way, like in the days leading up to it.
I just like him because he's a SEC guy.
It's such a premium need for the Patriots that they just needed somebody that had some promise and just a guy that can bully the opposition. And those are 2 guys that can do it. And I think they got a guy who's, I mean, he's 6'6", like 320. He's gonna bully some people.
Played in a pretty good conference too. I don't know much
Oh,
about
yeah.
college football, but I know the SEC.
It's the best conference.
Oh yeah.
So outside of Will Campbell, I do like the wide receiver they got. I think
Is it Kyle Williams.
Kyle Williams. I think they said he's has great feet, great route runner. And then but ultimately I really like the center from Georgia that they drafted.
I mean, I'm not sold on the center. You know, I'll be honest. I think he's maybe a little slow. Maybe I think he's going to get beat more than, you know, he's stopping people. Kyle Williams, you know, great burner, very good vertical runner. That's exactly what the Patriots need, especially with Stephon Diggs, who's
He's going to miss half
a step.
And he's going to miss half the season too, right? Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, at the very least the first couple of weeks. You know,
Yep.
Williams, his hands aren't spectacular. At least that's what I've been reading. His route tree may not be as big as,
Right.
say, like Ryan Higgins, who I think was the early second rounder the Patriots were looking at. But he's still, you know, he's a quick guy. You know, he's exactly what they need, sort of to rebuild that wide receiver room. You know, think like a Marvin Mims type, that guy from that kid from Denver that can just streak down the field and catch 40-yard bombs. Jared Wilson, you know, late third round pick with upside. You know, I would mitigate expectations there. Sliding him into start right away, I don't know. I mean, we'll still have to go through camp to see where he sits there.
Of course.
Williams would probably be a starting top 4 receiver, top 3 receiver. Campbell, I think it's left tackle.
Yeah.
I think that it's his position to lose.
What's your take on Travion Henderson?
You know, I love the pick.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you had told me the Patriots were going to go running back in the first 2 picks, I would have thought they'd take Ashton Genty at 4 and then waited a bit for a tackle, maybe traded it late into the first round. But getting Henderson early second round, I think that's a great pick. Right before Luther Burden, that makes me very nervous because hindsight on this pick is going to be incredible in the next couple of years.
Right.
Because I think Luther Burden is going to be a really, really good receiver. But, you know, shoring up the running back, it's very important. You know, they have Antonio Gibson, who I think might have 1 year left on his deal. So it kind of gives them a little more depth and it makes them younger. And Ramondre Stevenson has been wildly inconsistent the last couple of years, which is unfortunate because, you know, he looked so good to start his career. And, I mean, Henderson's upside, he had the highest rank out of athleticism score for all running backs, and I think he was ranked 3rd, maybe 5th, out of all the draft class, which was very deep. So they got easily probably top 2, top 3 running back in the class, and they hit a home run on that pick.
One of the things I did read on Henderson, apparently he did not fumble last year, or has not fumbled. He outright said that he does not put the ball on the ground, and I took that as a direct shot at Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, there's obvious concern with the turnovers with Ramondre. And, I mean, you need a guy that's sure-handed. Henderson's extremely sure-handed. He's not a big guy. I mean, Ramondre isn't either, but Henderson is small. He hits the hole hard. He's quick. He's about the same speed, I think, as the receiver in the 3rd round. So, you know, you just expect him to just hit the hole and go, and probably follow the lead blocker of Campbell, who is very good in run block. And I think they definitely were thinking those two are going to work well in tandem when they decided to pick Henderson in the 2nd.
And the only other thing I heard on Henderson, and I get it, you know, it's college stats and they're a little bit skewed, but you know, 7.1 yards per carry does jump off the paper, and that's good. You know, no matter where you're playing.
That's almost it almost feels like a typo. That's how good it is.
It does.
Right.
So, and I know I'm sure he had some games that really skewed that number up against, when they played, Dean College and Johnson and Wales or whatever. But but those, 7.1 though, that is just incredible without fumbling. So he's touching the ball a lot.
Oh yeah, he's a true bell cow. I think running backs are coming back to being like quote unquote in.
Right.
With the NFL, because there was a stretch there where running backs, they would be chewed up and spit out in 3 to 4 years, and now we're seeing, just these guys that they want the ball 20 to 30 times a game, and Henderson is 100% that type of guy. Ashton Genty, another guy that's like that. I mean, shoot, he was carrying it 40 times at Boise State, and Omarion Hampton, who is I think the other top 3 running back at UNC, I believe. Another guy that can carry it 30 times a game and probably gives you comparable numbers to Henderson at the NFL level. So Patriots definitely got their guy. I think it's a pretty good shot. Ramondre Kalu's spot as the RB1 out of camp. I think there's a pretty good shot of it, and I don't know. It's gonna be fun to see him run because he can also catch the ball. Acts as a safety blanket for Drake May, and this offense looks completely different. It's pretty exciting.
So you come down on the side of positive of going back to the running backs early because they've been going like 4th, 5th rounds, and not just the Patriots. I'm talking the league now with the running backs falling out of favor. Is this the Saquon Barkley effect, or is this just hey, we really do need some good running backs and we got to get them younger and higher up in the draft?
I mean, it could be the Saquon effect, but also, there's a good amount of solid running backs that are a little older.
Right.
You see running backs get a little closer to 30, and in the back of your mind or in the back of the GM's mind, they start thinking, okay, the clock is ticking on this guy. Like for example, Joe Mixon, guy in Texas. I think he's 29, 28 years old, and people are already sort of looking at. Who's next up for the Texans now. And that's a running back that just ran for probably 1,100 yards and might have another 4 or 5 years left in him. And people are already looking at the next guy. Same thing in Arizona, James Conner, around 30 years old. They have Trey Benson waiting, and a lot of people are saying, okay, when is this kid going to get his turn? Like, well, we have this running back who's in the prime of his athletic life, and we're ready to chew them up and spit them out. I think the running back sort of renaissance is coming back, where they're going to look to the young guys and they're just gonna dominate the league. I think, and it's gonna be very fun.
Awesome. Hey, Tyler, we're going to take a commercial break. You willing to hang on the line with us and come back for our last segment?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, you're in Tyler Hintu joining us from the Sun Chronicles, joining us in the cheap seats with Pat and Kevin. We'll be back here on 1240 AM, 99.5 FM, and OneSocketRadio.com. We'll be back right after this.
ON 1240.
The latest Buick and GMC models are available at Tasca Buick GMC in Woonsocket. Buick Encore, Envision, Enclave, and Envista are on the lot waiting for you to take one for a test drive. New GMC crossovers, SUVs, as well as trucks and vans are also available. Thinking of a pre-owned vehicle? Tasca Buick GMC has more than 900 in stock, many under $15,000. Visit online, TascaBuickGMC.com, or stop into 55 Fortin Drive, Woonsocket. Tasca Buick GMC, you will be satisfied. And remember, there are no tariffs on the vehicles in stock at Tasca Buick GMC. Are you looking to beautify your property this spring? Look to A.J. Moran for stonework patios, steps, walkways, plus retaining walls. Are you looking to beautify your home this spring? A.J. Moran can put veneer stone right on your house to have beautiful looking stone. And if that's not what you want, A.J. Moran can rebuild indoor fireplaces with veneer stone. It's real natural stone. Check out what they can do online, ajmoraninc.com. A.J. Moran.
If you're celebrating a major event, regardless of the reason, Michael's Meats of Cumberland can elevate your next meal from ordinary to extraordinary with meats so good your guests will ask you where you got them. Tell them Michael's Meats. Michael's Meats is in the Walgreens parking lot on Mendon Road in Cumberland, just north of the Ciabro Plaza. They're open Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m., making your next meal truly special. Here's this week's specials at Michael's Meats.
And this week's special at Michael's Meats, he has Italian sausage or patties for just $3.99 a pound at Michael's Meats. Welcome back to the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin. We are joined by Tyler Heatu, Patriots beat writer for the Attleboro Sun Chronicle. And Tyler, you mentioned the Patriots look like they could be fun this year with their additions in the draft. Obviously, their off-season additions. Before we get into who you think they're going to go draft and who the most famous person in the world not drafted yet is, are you surprised they used their first 4 picks on the offensive side of the ball?
No, to be honest. They went out in free agency. They did a lot to help out the defense. Sure. You know, they went out and got people in the secondary and at linebacker. And I think there was a lot of people that looked at it and said they haven't done enough on offense. And they definitely had a plan where they wanted to go out. They wanted to get that blue chip prospect with that number 4 pick, and they got Campbell, who could be the next Joe Thomas for all we know. And they got Travion Henderson, who's going to be very good. Kyle Williams, who could be a burner. He could be an 1,100-yard receiver. Ooh. And Jared Wilson, who's a guy with the center with a lot of upside. You know, they just don't have, you know, a center yet. You know, maybe they put in Cole Strange, but they have a guy with upside, and that's a good look for them.
And I think that's who they have slated, right, as of today, right? If we were to stop the season today, Cole Strange is tentatively the center.
I mean, you could shuffle them up and show me the list, and I would say yes.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
At this point, I think they've all played every position on the line, and they all have that experience. But yes, I would say Cole Strange maybe is the center right now.
Yeah, okay. So they made two trades, right? Basically picks. So they traded their 3rd round to Carolina for which was the 77th pick. They picked up the 85th and the 146th pick. Then they turned around and they traded the 85th pick to Kansas City and picked up the 95th pick in a 2006 4th rounder. So they have I believe they have 3 5th-round picks today.
Yes.
So, and I think their needs on paper are still safety and edge. Do you think they go that route? Do they pick up another tackle? I don't know.
Yeah. What do you see today?
I don't have names in mind.
Right.
Because, you know, round 7 or round 4 through 7 is such a crapshoot.
Right.
But I wouldn't be shocked, you know, if they go edge rusher here, or, you know, maybe go 2 or 3 picks in the secondary. Those are 2 positions where they still need help. I also wouldn't be shocked if they go and get another offensive lineman or 2. Also would not be surprised if they try and get a tight end. The tight end draft board is very short this year. Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren were the first 2 off the board, and from there it takes a significant dip in terms of just potential. I think Harold Hannafin might be on the board. He's looking like a 3rd, 4th rounder maybe. He was a guy that I liked when watching film. But when it comes to the next couple of rounds, I would say edge rusher, you know, interior defensive lineman, and cornerbacks probably should be what the Patriots go after. And if you can get somebody on the offensive side of the ball, it's got to be a tight end, because Hunter Henry is not your answer at that position yet.
Yeah, they have, let's see, Gunnar Helm from Texas is the best remaining tight end. Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame. Jackson Hawes from Georgia Tech. But, yeah, this is where you start seeing these guys from, like, Yellowstone Community College. You know, that's the old Bill Belichick picks, right? It's like, I don't know who that is, but I love him.
The former rugby player.
The kid who started playing football when he was 22, and now he's
Yeah.
25 because he got a COVID year.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, so I want to make sure we still got about 10 minutes or so, but I got to ask about the most famous player in the world not drafted, one Shedeur Sanders. We kept waiting for him to be drafted, somewhere in the first round Thursday night, and then just absolutely shocked that he doesn't go in the second or third round yesterday. And then you see the shots of his house with the, legacy and dominant or whatever, great play. I mean, what's your take here on Shedeur Sanders? Is he going to get drafted? Where and why hasn't he?
This kid is obviously supremely talented. That you can see it when he plays. There's obvious flaws to his game. The footwork may not be entirely there. He may not be NFL ready just in terms of processing the field, but also you see him make these just unbelievable throws. The guys make an unbelievable catch, and then they break off for a 60-yard touchdown. There is obvious talent there, but also he didn't do well in interviews. There was that.
That's an understatement.
Very big. That was a very big part of why his draft stock has fallen. And then also there's character concerns. And the character concerns is always something that's kicked around in draft processes, whether it's NFL or NHL. And that always ends up taking a big hit on a guy. And case in point, someone reposted the draft profile for Cam Newton. And this was back when Cam Newton, obviously tremendous player, all in hindsight, but they said just self-centered, selfish, just a player that doesn't play as a team, only focuses on himself. And in hindsight now, we look at it 10 years later, it was spot on. Mm-hmm. And the player was fine, but the character and just how he was as a person, that was a completely accurate assessment. I think we might be seeing the same thing with Sanders. I'm not saying, he's going to have a Cam Newton type career where, he's an MVP winner and he goes to the Super Bowl. But I think we're seeing teams realize in real time that they don't want the baggage that comes with them with the Sanders family, which is completely understandable, especially when this kid is such a crapshoot and such a wild card that you could take him and he falls apart and he turns into the next Johnny Manziel, and you instantly set your franchise back another 10 years. I'm in short. I know it's a very long-winded way to say it. I'm not surprised he's fallen. I would not be shocked if he goes undrafted, but also wouldn't be surprised if a team takes a chance on him in the 5th, 6th, or 7th rounds, because at that point, those picks often don't make it through. Those picks don't make it through camp anyway, and
it's not a financial risk at that point either. Yeah.
And how many times can you get a 5th round pick to sell jerseys and put butts in seats? Not very often.
Right.
From a marketing standpoint, I would be foaming at the mouth to take Deion Sanders kid. But if I was a football GM, I would not touch him with a 3,000 foot pole. I just wouldn't do it.
You're listening to Tyler Heatu here, Patriots beat writer for the Sun Chronicle, breaking down the draft. And for those that might not know, how would you define, what is a bad interview? What did he do, or what have you heard in these interviews that would really be a bad interview? Is it just his cockiness? What do you think?
I think it's maybe the cockiness, just maybe how he handles himself. I don't know what they ask him. In any of these interviews, we only see the good ones come out,
right?
After the fact. I remember last year's draft process, they asked a player what he does for fun, and he says he golfs, and he called himself Tiger Wish He Could instead of Tiger Woods. We see stuff like that, and that's instantly stuff that makes a player climb up the draft board because he's personable, he's not stressed out because he's making jokes and having fun. And I have the feeling that Sanders just went in there with this chip on his shoulder that, he could be anybody. And that's not a bad thing.
Right.
But there comes a point where, you say certain things and it's just an instant turnoff. And teams look at it and say, we want a guy that's going to come in here and work together, be we, not me. And that the last thing we want is this kid to come in here, boss around these 30-something-year-old men on the offensive line and on receiver and running back, and immediately lose the locker room. And I think that's kind of what the teams were thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more about it come out, in the next week or two.
Sure.
But there was definitely a time in that interviewing where teams just looked at him and said, "We're taking you completely off the board, and we're seeing it happen."
Yeah, it spoke volumes to me when I think I read an article where Daboll came out. They had him in, and I remember seeing the session that Daboll did with Drake May, where he's breaking down film. You see this. What do you? I just don't think Shedeur has that ability, and I think they're seeing it now. Like, this guy can't look at a defense and read it and break it down. He gives up on plays. He's late. Like, you look at his film and it's like, yeah, he threw off his back foot, underthrew the wide receiver by 15 yards. Hunter makes a great play, takes it 60 to the house. But in the NFL, that's going the other way all day, every day.
Yes, and I think the more you look at the film, the more you see just the processing of the offense isn't there.
Right.
A guy will just blow him up, and whether it's bad offensive line or not, we can debate that all day.
He'll tell you that
he doesn't process it, and he gets blown up, and he'll probably lay the blame on them for getting sacked. But also, the next time it happens, he'll pick up the blitz, roll out, go outside the hash marks, and then throw a 40-yard bomb for a touchdown, and instantly he looks like the second coming of Oklahoma Baker Mayfield and a Heisman winner. Like, he looks tremendous, but it's so inconsistent, and it's so inconsistent, and there's zero teams that want to take that risk.
Now the next part is, if he does get drafted, he's going to be coming in as a backup quarterback, which now could be right there a quarterback controversy, and you got Dion in the background maybe spouting off as well, so you got a potential divisive locker room because he'll want to start over the starting quarterback.
Any team that picks Sanders, there will be no quarterback controversy because they will be bringing him in to be a backup.
Yeah.
Unless there is injury, unless the Browns take him in the 7th round, which that'll be the most big brain play of the draft, where the Browns have a full draft, and then they end up getting what a lot of people believe to be the number 1 player in the draft in the 7th round. That would be the most galaxy-brained chess move by Cleveland that would erase the last 15 years of ineptitude from them.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening. He could go undrafted. He could be in the CFL in 2 years. We don't know.
Yep.
Like, I don't think he's any threat to any quarterback on an NFL roster right now. Whether it's Joe Flacco or Tim Boyle or Jacoby Brissett, doesn't matter. All those guys I think are better than Sanders right now.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it's just amazing to fall that.
Yeah,
that
and I did hear a little tidbit of Teddy Johnson talking about the whole retiring his number thing, and he basically said, like, listen, the guy's 12-11 in his career. None of the Hall of Famers from Colorado or the alumni of the football team stood behind that decision, which speaks volumes.
Yeah.
It would be like the Bruins retiring Andrew Raycroft's number. It just wouldn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all.
It would be a career 500 player gets their number retired because their dad's the coach.
You're
like Kevin making the Cumberland High School sports.
I should be in the Cumberland Hall of Fame. That's another topic for another day, though.
Yeah.
So.
We both should be. I should be as well.
Well, there you go. I got so one last thing, Tyler. Noah Well's own Ozzie Trapillo out of Boston College gets drafted. I believe Chicago in the 2nd round. I thought it was a great pick. I knew he would go. I didn't know. I figured probably 3rd. The latest, but to see him go in the 2nd round, I feel great. He's a great kid from a great family. So, what's your take on that pick? And do you think Chicago get a good lineman?
I think Chicago bundled their top pick.
Yeah.
I think they reached for a tight end, which they have Cole Kmet, who I think is a really good tight end. But at 10, I think they could have got a much better player there, especially. But
Sure.
they haven't had a bad draft. Cooper Loveland is a great tight end. The BC product, he comes from a Bill O'Brien team, so obviously I think there's some NFL pedigree where people look at the program that he's come from that is being built up, and the NFL expectations of O'Brien at BC, and people say, this is a guy that we want in our program because he knows the NFL process. He comes from a team that is rebuilding itself and getting that new identity.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bears did a good job with that pick. Maybe a little early to pick him, but I want to trust the Bears in their process because they have a roster of so much promise and potential. But also, we won't know until a year from now how good of a pick that was.
True.
All right. Well, Tyler, he too from the Attleboro Sun Chronicle joining us here, breaking everything down NFL in the draft. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us in the cheap seats. Once again, we really appreciate your time on an early Saturday morning.
Hey, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me. Enjoy the day. I know it's raining outside, but enjoy it.
It's a good day to watch rounds 4 through 7, I guess, in the draft or whatever. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with a bunch of more names I've never heard of.
Quicker clock.
Yeah, quicker clock. So, all right, enjoy the day, and thanks again, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
All
Have
right,
a good one.
Tyler, he too from the Attleboro Sun Chronicle joining us here in the cheap seats with Pat and Kevin. And Pat, that just about wraps up the show. That hour flew by, but
don't forget to tune in 12 o'clock.
Oh, to the Tiki Bar with Joe Callahan coming in at noon here on ON Radio, 1240 AM, 99.5 FM, OneSoccerRadio.com. And we'll be back next week here in the cheap seats with Pat and Kevin. Thank you once again for joining us. Have a great weekend, everyone. Have some fun out there.